Harness. It's the word everyone in AI keeps throwing around, and almost nobody can actually stop and tell you what it really means. So here's what we're going to do. Over the next 5 minutes, I'm going to fix that for good. By the end, you'll define it cold, and you'll know exactly why it matters. All right, let's go to work. Meet Sarah. She's your newest hire, and she is seriously brilliant. Top of her class, sharp, fast, the whole package. But today is day one, new badge, empty desk, and no clue where anything is yet. Here's the twist. Sarah is the model. GPT, Claude, whichever one you run, all that brain power sitting right there at the desk. And here's what most people get wrong. On day one, all that brain power barely helps you. Not because she isn't smart. She clearly is. It's that she doesn't know your company, your code base, or what she's even allowed to touch. So you give her a real first task. Fix a bug buried in a code base she has never opened. She's brilliant, but she's brand new. The problem is hard, and the clock is already ticking. So how does a brilliant new hire become someone who actually ships real work? You build her a harness. Let's walk through exactly how. So where does she start? The same place any new hire starts. First, Sarah needs a job description. And a job description is really 4 things. Who she is, she's a back-end engineer, not a designer. What she owns, the checkout service, and nothing outside it. What she's allowed to touch, the payments code, yes. The live customer database, absolutely not. And what done actually means. The bug is fixed, there's a test that proves it, and a human has signed off. A person gets all of that in an offer letter and a first day chat. An agent gets it in a single file, the agent definition, and that file is called AGENT.md. Same job description, her role, her instructions, and her hard limits written down. Okay, that's who she is. But knowing who you are doesn't tell you how the work actually gets done. So next, the playbook. You never just tell a new hire go fix bugs and walk away. You show her how this team works. Here, we reproduce the bug with a failing test first. Then, and only then, we make that test pass. Write that procedure down, and you've handed her a skill. A repeatable way to do one thing right every single time. Now she knows her job, and she knows the playbook, and she still can't do a thing, because she has no access. So third, we give her the keys. The repo, the test suite, and the build system. And only the parts that match her level. For an agent, that access is a set of tools, a catalog of things it is allowed to reach for, each one locked behind a permission. And the standard everyone is converging on for that catalog has a name. It's called MCP. That stands for Model Context Protocol. Okay, everything up to this point matters, but this next piece is the one that quietly makes or breaks the whole thing. So pay attention. Sarah has a desk, and whatever she is actively working on has to fit on that desk right in front of her. That desk is the context window. It is her entire working memory. And here is the trap. It is small, much smaller than you would ever guess. So watch what happens when you dump the entire code base on her desk. It overflows. Paper on the floor, she loses the thread, and she starts guessing, confidently and wrong. A good senior never does that. A good senior walks over, hands her the 3 files that matter for this one bug, and clears everything else away. That single habit, only what the task needs on the desk, nothing more, is the difference between a harness that works and one that quietly burns money and hands you nonsense. Then the rules. She cannot push straight to production on day 1. Nobody sane would allow it. She opens a request a human reviews first. The files marked off limits she can't even open. The harness enforces every bit of that on its own. It doesn't ask nicely, and it doesn't make exceptions. That's governance. and everything she does leaves a paper trail. Something breaks, and something always breaks. You follow the trail back, and you see exactly what happened. Turns out she was working off a document that was out of date. So you fix the document, not the hire. That's observability, seeing why it broke, not just that it broke. Now step back and look at the whole board. Same brilliant model we started with 2 minutes ago, but wrapped in a job description, a playbook, scoped access, a managed desk, hard rules, and a paper trail. Now she ships. The model was never the hard part. This is. And this whole apparatus around the model, the thing that turns raw intelligence into reliable work, has one name: the agentic harness. All right, that all makes sense on a whiteboard, but does it hold up in practice? Let's build something real, a travel agent planning a trip to France. I'll add the harness one layer at a time and pull each one off so you can see exactly what it does. Same model underneath every time. The only thing that changes is the harness. Out of the box, the model has no role. I ask it about France, and it just unloads everything it knows: history, geography, economy, a wall of encyclopedia. Impressive, sure, but useful to nobody in particular. So here's the fix. One short file, the agent definition. It says you're a travel agent, answer like one, keep it tight, check the client's notes before you talk. That single file is where we tell the model who it is and how to behave. The model itself didn't change at all. We just handed it a job description. Same question, same model, but look at the difference. Now it answers like a travel agent, the regions, the vibe, a couple of tight lines instead of an encyclopedia. It didn't get smarter, it got directed. One small file turned a know-it-all into someone actually useful. Next, plan 3 days in Paris. With no playbook, it improvises its own loose format, a day-by-day list padded out with extra notes and caveats. Perfectly fine, but it is not the way our agency does it. The fix is a skill, a written procedure, our house itinerary format. Exactly 3 short lines, 1 per day, a few highlights each. We are not hoping it guesses the format. We are handing it the recipe and telling it to follow it every time. Same request, and now it's our format: day 1, day 2, day 3, clean and consistent. The structure lives in a file, so every trip it plans comes out the same shape. That's the kind of repeatability you can actually build a business on. Where should they stay? With nothing on its desk, it has no idea who this client is, so it cannot really recommend anything. It just asks you for a budget and a neighborhood and hands the problem back. The fix is context: 1 file on its desk, this client's notes, just a few lines. We have a partner hotel, the Lumiere, and this client likes it. That's the piece it was missing. The private knowledge that makes the answer ours instead of generic. Same question, and now it leads with the Lumiere, our partner, for the exact reason we'd give. It's not guessing anymore. It's working from what we actually know. The right context turned a generic tip into our recommendation. Now, can it actually do anything? I ask it to check real flights. With no tools, it can only talk. It has no way to reach a live system, so all it can do is apologize. The fix is a tool. Now in the real world, this would call a live flight service, but for the demo, I am simulating one with a small local script that just returns a couple of options. Either way, the point holds. This is where the agent stops describing and starts doing, running something and coming back with a real result. And wiring tools in like this, in a standard way, is exactly what MCP is for. Same question, and now it runs the tool and comes back with real flights, real prices, even a recommendation. It didn't just answer, it went and did the work. That's the line between a chatbot and an actual agent. Here's the big one. I tell it, book it, put it on my card. With no rules, it just does it. Books the trip, charges the card, $2,400, and nobody asked me. The fix is a governance hook. This little piece of code runs before any tool the model tries to use. It checks one thing. Is this a booking or a charge to a card? If it is, it stops, and it demands a human sign-off before anything goes through. It's not a polite request buried in a prompt. It's a hard gate written in code, and the model cannot root around it. Same command. Watch what happens now. Blocked. Cold. It cannot book, and it cannot spend a cent on its own. Everything's staged and ready, but the charge waits for a human. That's governance, and it does not ask nicely. One last thing. The agent just made a whole string of decisions. What to recommend, what to book, what to block. So ask it to prove it. Show me the record of what you actually looked at, and there is nothing. No log, no trail, no receipt. The decisions happened, and they left no trace behind. The fix is an observability hook. This one runs automatically right after every file the agent reads, and quietly writes it down one line to a log. The agent does not control it, and it cannot skip it. It is the system keeping its own receipts. Now, same kind of question. It checks the notes, gives its answer, and behind the scenes, every file it touched just got recorded. Open the log, and there it is, in plain black and white, exactly what it read to make that call. That is the whole point. You are not taking the model's word anymore. You are reading the receipt. That's the harness. Pull a layer off, the model stumbles. Put it back, it's sharp. Same model the whole time. The harness is the difference. So why should you care? Because the model is already brilliant. You saw that. Ask it anything, and it answers in seconds. And it's only getting better. But raw intelligence on its own just wanders. It'll go in any direction, because it has no idea what you actually want. The harness is how you take all that horsepower and aim it. Give it a role, and it knows who it is. Give it your playbook, and it works the way your team works. Give it the right context, the right tools, the right limits, and the same model that gave you a generic answer 2 minutes ago starts doing real work. That's the whole idea. You don't get more out of it by waiting for a bigger model. You get more by building the harness around the one you already have. I'm Matt. I build this stuff for a living, and I train the teams that ship it. This series comes down to one thing. You shouldn't have to nod along to words you can't define. Now you can define this one.